Sometimes there are obstacles in the road.
Hello, my name is Deatrice Powell. I know you guys know me from Facebook, and I do a lot of live videos. So today's video is just a little bit about what I've just gone through, this whole pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever they're titling it. I am going to talk about my experience, and I want to share with you guys a little something that you probably didn't even know, but I am going to share with you today. See, we all go through things in life that's not necessarily designed for us. What I experienced, I don't believe that it was designed for me. And I know you're probably sitting there like, what is she talking about? She had COVID-19, coronavirus. Yes, I did have it. Yes, I did beat it. It was all by the grace of God that I beat this. But through the whole journey of me dealing with being in the hospital for 7 days, released on my 8th day, God had me sitting still, and he chose me for this mission because he knew that I would be obedient. He knew that he can give this to me so that others can get the glory. Others can raise up on his behalf. What do I mean by that? On April 13th, I went into work and I really wasn't feeling, I'm sorry, actually it was April 12th, my very first time calling out of work, because I wasn't feeling too well. So I really didn't think nothing of it. Again, because I'm a Christian woman and I'm a woman that loves Christ, and I'll do anything that I need to do to get his word out, right? So I was like, okay, I have a little cough. I have a little cold. So that day I had to call out because I wasn't really feeling too well. I was starting to feel a little shortness of breath. Didn't think nothing of it again. So on the 13th of April, I had to call out again. But this time I needed to go to the hospital because I just wasn't feeling well. My chest was starting to feel a little tight. Again, all of these things literally happened in a matter of days. So I went home. I was fine. I was feeling a little okay. Fevers kept coming. They just wouldn't leave. And I never thought for a moment that I had COVID-19. Again, because I'm a praying warrior. I recited the prayer, Psalms 23. I've studied the prayer, Psalms 91, of how God is going to keep the plague away and all this stuff. I anointed my house. I anointed my doors so that COVID-19, coronavirus, would not touch me nor my household. So again, I just thought I had an allergy or just a little cold that was coming on. I remember sitting at the desk at work, and this cough just came out of nowhere. And I looked at one of my coworkers and I said, no worries, it's just a cough. So a few days had gone by and I had to call out again because now the fever was not breaking. And I did not chalk it up to Deatrice having COVID-19, coronavirus. I didn't think that because, again, I'm a prayed up woman. I'm a prayer warrior. Days had gone by. This fever, this cough, the aches, all of these things were starting to set in. I was tested. So I didn't get my results back. I couldn't understand why I didn't get my results back. So I decided to call my employee health. And I said to them, I was tested on the 13th and I didn't get my results. So she proceeded to tell me that my results were damaged. She said that they were, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were damaged. So me and my husband looked at each other like, how could that possibly be? Everybody gets tested. Everybody gets their results within 24 to 48 hours, right? Not me. Mine got damaged. So here is it on a Friday again. Fever's still going, body's still hurting, things are still happening. Now I'm praying and I honestly, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I kept saying to myself, I don't have it. I don't have it. I would not claim that I had COVID-19. I kept saying, nope, not me, not me. So that Friday, my husband decided he needed to be tested because he also was starting to feel some of the symptoms, not a lot. He was just feeling he had, a cough and it just would not go away and his fever would not break. So I went with him to be tested at a local site and they tested him and he found out within 20 minutes that he had it. Again, I'm still in denial. I don't have it. Even though my husband has it. So they tested me again that Saturday, and I finally got my results back that Monday. And when I got the results over the phone, I still was in denial, like, not me. I don't have it. Even though I had every symptom, every, all the fever, the body aches, the chills, the restlessness, shortness of breath, all of that. Okay, so one day I kept telling, and I started to lose my appetite. I couldn't eat. And that's when I began to ask God, Lord God, why do I have it? Why did I develop it? I prayed and I asked you not to allow me to have this. And you told me that I wouldn't have it. So I was a little broken. But then I had to quickly think like, okay, who am I to tell God what to give me? He knew exactly what I was able to handle. So a few days had gone past and things weren't getting any better. Well, I thought they were getting better. My breathing was getting a little heavier, and I lost my appetite for everything. I just couldn't do anything at this point. My husband and I have done every home remedy that everybody had told us to do. We did the steaming, we did the hot teas, we did the zinc, we did this, we did everything known to man up to block this COVID, to keep it under control. So one day I sat up in the bed and I remember feeling oh so great. I said, all right, Lord, thank you so much. I'm getting better. And I saw the progress in my husband and how he was also feeling just great. So I said, okay, fine. We're doing this. We're doing this. So I said to my husband, I said, babe, I'm really starting to feel better. He said, good. You're starting to look better. I said, all right, good. So just as quick as I thought I was feeling better, 2 days later, I went down. I plummeted. I mean, down. Fever spiking, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I got up and I told my husband, he woke me up. He said, babe, check your fever, check your temperature, make sure, because we was like really doing this Tylenol thing. We was like trying to keep this fever down. Fever just wasn't breaking, but we was determined that this fever was going to break. So that morning, he woke me up and said, babe, get up. Let's check your temperature so that we can get on this Tylenol to get you something in your stomach so we can get this other medication in. I said, okay, fine. But I kept telling him, I said, something is not right. He was like, what do you mean? I said, babe, I cannot eat this cracker. It was a little teeny Ritz cracker, and I couldn't eat it. It just wouldn't go into my system. And the next thing you know, I said, okay, let me just force it because I know I have to feed my body because this is like day number 3 or 4 that I wasn't eating. So finally, I got this cracker to go down, just a little piece of it, and it all came back up from this end. And yes, sorry to be so graphic, from the other end at the same time. And I knew right then and there, something is not right. So I told my husband, let me take a shower. And I think you're going to have to take me to the hospital. But I didn't really want him to take me. So I even said to him, I said, babe, well, can you call the ambulance and let them come pick me up? And he said, no, I'm taking you. I said, are you sure? Because I knew he also had it. So I didn't want him to expose himself outside either. But being who my husband is, he would not let me go alone. So we got myself together. I sat on the edge of the bed, and I never forget, I was so exhausted, so worn out, did not know that my body had been worn that bad. I sat on the edge of the bed, I pulled my pants up, and I said, let me just lay down for an hour and then we'll go. My husband said, are you sure? I said, yes. And I heard, as clear as I'm talking to you, I heard a loud voice say, do not go to sleep. And I made my way back up. I sat up in the bed. I said, okay, babe, take me to the emergency room. And he looked at me and he knew things were serious. We made it to the emergency room, and I walked in, and my coworkers were there. That's where I work, at the emergency room. And they looked at me like, what is wrong? And I was like, I cannot breathe. My breath was so shallow. I am shocked I even was able to make it into the hospital, because me getting down my stairs, it took me about 15-20 minutes to get down because I could not breathe. Made it into the hospital, and they did an x-ray again. And then the doctor came back. He said, ma'am, we're going to have to admit you. And I was on the phone with my dad at the time. And I looked, I said, admit me for what? And he was like, you have pneumonia really bad. And he walked out. And I sat there and I was like, but why? Why do I have pneumonia? Why am I here? Why am I going through this? And my dad prayed for me, and I'm still in a fog like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? I called my sister and I was talking through very shallow breaths, and I was really confused and scared. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all, oh, I was mightier than thou and I was this, big Christian woman. No, I was scared. I remember looking around that room and I kept saying, you're not staying here. You're not going to be another rest in peace. There will not be Dietrich's rest in peace. Dietrich's last destination was here in this hospital. I was determined not to be in that position. I knew I wasn't, but I knew, but I didn't know, if you can understand what I'm saying. So the process went really fast. They got me upstairs. They admitted me, and I will never forget, a nurse came in there, and her exact words were to me, there's really not much we can do because we don't really have a diagnosis. We don't really have treatment. We're just doing experimental drugs. And I said, what do you mean? She was like, because there is no solid answer on how to treat this, but we can give you this, and that to help ease the symptoms. Let me just go back 1 second. Something just came to me as well. A doctor, the one that admitted me, his exact words were to me, we're going to admit you just so we could tune you up. That stood out to me more than anything in this whole ordeal. I'm just going to admit you to tune you up. And I was like, okay. But anyways, so we get up to the room, and like I said, they was telling me that there was really no particular medicines that's going to work, but there's a combination of this, and third, and whatever. So I said to her, I questioned everything. What type of medication is this? Where did it come from? Why are you guys using it? Why are you using this particular medication? What is it going to do to me? How is it going to interact with this? I had tons of questions before I took anything. So I did eventually call my husband, tell him all the medications. I called my cousin. I told them all the medication that they wanted to put me on. So I eventually agreed to do the medications, but I wanted to be closely monitored and let them know. I had to let them know that I have questions and I'm concerned about the medications. So long story short, I did get on these medications, and the first 3 days were the longest 3 days of my life. I didn't want the lights on in the room. I didn't want the television on in the room. I just needed it to be dark. I was in a dark space because I was confused at how a person like me who treasures and who loves God can be in this position. How did it happen? So I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. I remember everybody that I could possibly think of, and even more people that I didn't even know of, were out there praying for me. One person put it on Facebook. Someone else put it on Facebook. I never put it on Facebook. One of my family members did, and they tagged me in it. So everybody found out that way. So I was led to put it on Facebook myself. Let people know what I was going through. That video went crazy. Everybody raised up and began to pray. 2 and 3 days gone past. I'm watching all these messages on Facebook, all the text messages coming in on my phone, all the phone calls kept coming in, praying for you, Dietrich. I'm praying for you. I really felt like an army had raised up on my behalf. And I remember on the 3rd day, laying there in that bed, and I said, why are you feeling sorry for yourself? You got everybody out there praying for you, but yet you're laying here throwing yourself a pity party because God chose you to carry out this mission. So that night I lay down, and in between shortness of breath and not able to really function well, I had all this mucus in my chest. I was going through something. I really was afraid to fall asleep because I thought I wouldn't wake up, because I've heard so many people say that they were alone and they had to go through this process by themselves. I was there. I was facing that alone. Husband couldn't come. I couldn't even call him because I cried so much. There was so much that I was going through, so many emotions that I was facing. Scared. Lord God, why me? And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. Again, I couldn't even go to sleep because I didn't know if that was going to be my last time seeing those walls, that hospital, or hearing my family's voice, my children, my grandkids. I didn't know would I ever speak to them again. So I was scared of going to sleep. One night I was laying semi up, where you sort of kind of back, but you're up a little bit. And I laid there and I remember saying, okay, I'm going to go to sleep tonight and I'm going to get up and pray in the morning. I closed my eyes and it was like a hard thump to my chest. It felt like someone kicked me or was holding my heart and let it go. And I sat up like, what the heck was that? And I heard, do not be afraid. And I sat and I had all this sweat and I'm like, was my life about to be taken? Did I almost take my last breath? And then I remembered, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For your rod and your staff, they are with me. They comfort me. And I knew right then and there, God was letting me know, it's not about you. It's about everybody around you. Get yourself up. Take yourself a deep breath and let's fight this fight. And that's how I felt. I felt like Christ had come, God had come in that room and let me know, girl, get your behind up. I want you to show people who I am. I'm using you as a vessel so that others can see how great I am. I will heal you is what I heard. That next day, I was sitting on the edge of my bed. Again, still nothing in my system to eat because I couldn't eat. And I kept hearing, you're going to vomit. And I kept saying, what in the world? And I thought it was my mind playing tricks on me. You're going to vomit. And I'm like, but I don't feel like I'm going to vomit. So I said, let me go to this bathroom, use the bathroom. I sat on the toilet. And the next thing you know, I kept saying, but I don't feel like I'm going to vomit. I kept hearing that. And next thing you know, I vomited so much till my entire body was shaking. Every mucus, it was I'm sorry to be so graphic, but there was a huge, huge mass of mucus that came out of my body into this sink next to me. I pulled the cord to call the nurse in, and I had to show, I was like, I just vomited. And she looked and her eyes were so big and she was like, did that just come from you? I said, yes. She said, that's nothing but mucus. She's like, I've never seen anything like that. And I heard in the spirit, deliverance. And I was like, I was just delivered. Everything that was in my lungs had come up. I know you guys probably sitting there like, how in the world? Trust me, I have no reason to lie to you. God delivered me that moment when I decided to trust him. I went back to the bed and I felt like life had been entered back into me. I began to praise. I began to worship right then and there. I began to thank him for that moment. I began to thank him for allowing me to just live again. And from that moment going forward, I trusted him. And I watched how many other people was trusting my journey. How many other people watched me go from being down and out to being where I am. So many other people had to see what God can do with a vessel like me. So many people, you all know how much I love God and how much I praise and I worship. I don't do it for show. I do it because that's what I'm led to do, and that's what I need to do, and that's what I want to do. So my journey was not designed to take me out. My journey was designed so that we all can see how excellent God is once we begin to trust him for ourselves. He allowed you all to see everything that I went through, every phase that I went through, just to show you that your prayers count. Your prayers mean something. When you say you're going to pray for someone and you really do it, he acknowledges it. And that's what it was about. It wasn't about Dietrich being sick and Dietrich being down and Dietrich having this COVID-19. Had nothing to do with that. It all was about us as humans, us as brothers and sisters in Christ, how we raised up for one another, how we had to come together for his sake, for someone else. So that's what my journey was about. It was about all of us seeing how God manifests himself using one person. And I'm pretty sure it's not just me, but I'm talking about my journey, the journey that you were all on with me. You all seen me go from there to here. It's nothing that I could say that I did. It was absolutely nothing that I did. It was all because of God's grace, his mercy, and how much he loves us. And he knew that if he gave Dietrich this journey to travel on, he knew that I would be obedient. He knew that I would weep. He knew that I would cry. He knew that I would post it so that you guys can see him. You can see him in human form. You can see him through me. And that's what he did. He allowed each and every one of you to connect with me so that you can get connected back with him. Some people, there was one particular person that stands out a lot to me in this whole transition. He has said to me, Dietrich, I don't know. He said, I'm going to pray for you, but I'm not sure if my prayers are going to reach to the same place that yours reached to. But I'm going to do it because I know that prayer works. I've seen it. And he began to pray. People that never prayed before began to pray. Not because it's a cliche thing to do, but they knew that the power of prayer can change a situation. And because you guys, you watch me and you see me, because you love Christ, you guys put your faith in front of everything. And you prayed for me. And God acknowledged it all. So that's my story. There was nothing big, nothing. It is fabulous to me because God used each and every one of us to come together to pray for one another. So I just want to leave you guys with this. Prayer changes everything. And I thank you all for every prayer that has gone up, even the prayers that are still going up. I appreciate you all. But again, this journey was not about me. This COVID-19, this coronavirus was not about me. It was about all of us being united as one for Christ. Thank you guys.